A17 Eclipse OpenJ9 community call. As always, please add your name and affiliation to the list of attendees just so we have some idea of who's regularly attending. I'll pause here. If there's anything you want to add to the agenda, you can chime in now, or as we work through the meeting, you can add it into the any other business section or jump in at the. So is there anything to add? Okay. Then we don't have a lightning talk scheduled today. So if you do have one that you'd like to give, reach out to me and we'll get something set up. Let's take a look at the recent user-raised issues. So the only one that's come in since the last one of these community calls is a part of some crashes. It looks like there's a couple of comments at least. This has been sent to the JIT team for further investigation. Okay. Good, so that looks like it's being handled. Anything else in this list that we should discuss today or that needs some investigation or attention? Right, then we'll jump back to the agenda. That brings us to the roadmap section. We're coming up on our branch date for the 033 release, about 3 days away. So I'll bring up the release plan and I see 19 open items. Pete, do you have a state on this?
What kind of state are you looking for? It should be a lot smaller. I was hoping to get an update done to GCC 10, which accounts for a few items in there, but there's some problems along the way. The latest one is that we have a fix in OMR, and OMR is blocked by some other changes.
I'm assuming we probably want to get the GCC update before we branch.
Well, that's what I was hoping, but without the OMR promotion, we still have a chance to get OMR promoted this week.
That accounts for 3 of these issues, so that's hope there. I see a number of things that have the label blocker on them, though.
Yeah, so the last 2 are the OMR blockers that happened today. Seems a couple things went into OMR that are causing problems. The HCR blocker is the long-standing one that we haven't been able to resolve yet. Is there another one? Remember,
These were the
one...
3 that jumped out at me. I just wanted to take a look at this HCR one. Okay, so do we know if there's any further progress on this? Last conversation was 12 days ago.
Yeah, I don't know of anything other than what's in the issue. I don't know, maybe Bob Neat's on the call. He was doing some investigation.
I don't see Babneet. All right. Checking if there's any other blockers in this list. See anything else marked as a blocker. Do see a couple of other seg faults though. Do we, given the list that we have here, do we still think it's reasonable to branch on the 20th?
I prefer to branch and double deliver the fixes rather than not branch and let more code changes go in that could cause more problems.
I'm okay with that approach. It's my preferred approach as well, but it does increase the workload for people. So there's historically been some pushback on that approach.
Yeah, I mean, double delivery is not that costly.
So, spot.
I guess the actual double delivery is pretty easy. Um, it might be hard to figure out when you need to double deliver something, or we might miss double delivering something that we should.
Yeah, I'm just worried about ensuring that we are stable enough to ship on time.
So, I mean, the OMR blockers, I added them to the milestone plan because they're blocking other things from promoting, but I mean, they're not actual problems in the release code because OMR hasn't promoted. So you could look at them that way. They may get reverted to fix the blocking, OMR promotion, and then we would close these issues.
Okay. I'm happy to proceed with the plan to branch on the 20th. And anything that needs extra delivery will need extra delivery. That seems reasonable. I'm not hearing anyone strongly object to that.
Ooh, do we have anybody? Henry's on, filling in for Daryl. I don't know, Henry, if you have any comments about the JIT issues. I think there's quite a few JIT issues in the milestone. But if you don't have any comments, that's fine. I don't want to put you on the spot.
Okay.
Sorry, I was having trouble unmuting. Yeah, no, I don't. I just started looking at that one issue with one of the blockers that you had opened to try to see if I could narrow down when it crept in. But yeah, no, nothing, no further comments.
Okay. Thanks, Henry. Why don't we plan to continue with the schedule? If there's some critical reason why we can't branch on the 20th, we can evaluate that and switch. But it seems like the
Yeah,
right.
like if we branch and we decide we want to refresh the branches, a week later or 2 weeks later with the latest content, that's simple to do. So I don't think branching, as long as we haven't double delivered anything, that is. So I
Okay.
think there's a whole lot of downside to branching.
Sounds good. Anything else we want to touch on for the 033 release? The other thing I'll mention is please, do take a look at that list of issues if you own something in that list or if you're looking for something to pick up. It's a good one to try to burn down so we can get that closed out. The other one to talk about is the Java 19 release, which is scheduled to branch on July 22nd. If I look at this list, there's 20 items that are open in here, but that seems almost too small given the work we need to do for Loom and the Panama. So I suspect that this list will grow between now and then. That does that match your perception as well?
Some of the big things just have one issue in here. There might be PRs and other things that are represented by the single issue.
Yeah, it makes it a little tough to track what's going on though with single virtual threads preview issue, it's very hard to tell what the state of that is as we move our release forward.
Yeah, it probably doesn't even refer to anything else.
There's a fair number of items in here as well that's going to need some cleanup and focus to make sure we can get this out on time as well. I think from this perspective, it probably makes more sense to talk about the state of Loom and Panama for this release. So I've moved them up to be part of this release conversation. So is Jack on the call? Jack, do you want to give us an update on Loom?
Yes, Dan, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. So currently, both I and Mason each have a PR that is currently under review to merge the OpenJDK's thread-related code to Loom into both OpenJ9 and our extension repo's head branch. Locally during my testing, I was able to get both to be functional to a certain extent. I haven't run the full test suite, but basic Hello World and Java programs are able to run on that. So right now we're still targeting May 20th, that is the end of the week, to have the changes merged, and hopefully we would be able to directly start working on top of that.
So you're still targeting the end of the week to have sanity.functional passing?
Yes, we don't expect there should be any significant issues once we got past the point where we were able to get thread working correctly. Mostly this would be still limited to test suites that are not depending on anything since none of the actual implementation for it have been done yet. I suspect there might be a few new thread and thread group related tests that will fail in Sanity, but everything else should work once we have the PRs merged.
Okay. That's good to hear.
Yeah. In terms of the June 10th for basic thread support, we're currently looking into dividing the tasks into smaller blocks in order to tackle it more efficiently. So there will be discussion on this with Toby and Jason on Thursday's meeting. So we will have to update in terms of our plan on that by next week. There's also been some discussion that's going on about the performance aspect, and we're looking at potentially dividing up the thread list into two separate lists. One is the active virtual thread list that is being added to the thread list, and a separate one that will be tracked for all the non-active virtual threads. We don't have a full understanding of how the impact will be. It's still under discussion. I think that's it for Loom right now.
Have you guys talked with the GC team yet about how virtual threads will be collected? Because my understanding is they are not treated as roots in the same way that other threads are treated as roots. They're discovered as during the regular walk of the heap.
They are under the discussion for the thread list, but we consider if we add them to the thread list, they should be treated as root during GC. It's just we're discussing whether having a separate list and GC specially handling that would be better or not.
Right, and what I'm saying is from an implementation perspective, I believe the model for Loom is that virtual threads can be created, and then you can just stop referring to them, and they will naturally be GC'd. So only the threads that are live or discovered on a heap walk would be treated as roots.
Right.
And I think this design, if I heard you correctly, is the opposite, that you would treat all virtuals as roots.
I think the idea is that because the Java stack is allocated through the native codes right now in our implementation, we just want to make sure that those ones are being collected even though a thread may be parked or not being set to run at the moment to still maintain that. I guess we haven't had enough discussions to be more specific about this. We can add this to the questions as well, and we'll have more for next week.
I strongly encourage you to pull Dimitri and Alex into this discussion so that getting the relevant GC expertise.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, if this thing becomes like clearable, I'm not sure first how fast it might be done in GC, and second, sure it will be large headache, and so reducing like size of the list, split into two lists, it just probably will help reduce time of taking exclusive. It's only purpose for it. So second question is, okay, stacks. Yeah, we will probably need to scan all of them. And third one, yes, if it's a clearable resource, so it's like class unloading, I understand. No, kind of. Because you could either discover thread and thread you need to scan stack and it will introduce more routes. Yeah, it's cannot be done fast, really.
Yeah, there's certainly a challenge there. So Jackie, you'll come back next week with a more detailed plan, is what I'm hearing?
Yes, I will have more update for next week.
Cheng, is there an update on Panama?
Yes, Dan. In terms of the opcode on the Linux PVC 64AE, I think it's already connected all issues detected out there. And for the work on AX, there's still a couple of pending issues detected by test with the structure, with the double-in structure. So I suspect there are probably test issues not related to the platform because there are probably no pending required in such type of structure, but I need a little bit more debugging to confirm that before updating the test case. There are other little bit work on the details of how to deal with a small fixed size on X. Hopefully should be resolved by the end of this week. I already created opcode work and other issues with all the PR to be ready, and I already submitted the first part and Java parts for code review. Another PR will be coming and will be showing up in the coming days or weeks when it's ready. Yeah, that's everything on my side.
Thanks, Cheng. One of the things I found helpful in the past has been to make a list of the platforms we support, and a list of the features that we need and the pieces that are platform specific, and start color coding them red, yellow, green, blue, or what's on track, what's at risk, what's a serious risk, and blue for complete. Start giving them dates so that you can start looking at that chart and seeing how far we are from being complete across our platforms.
Okay, I'll just try to update the description on the issues.
Thanks, Cheng. Do we have an update from Adopt?
There's nothing too much to update. We're down to the last two platforms, AIX 17 and 18, to be released as to close off completely the April release. And now we're busily working on secure software development framework stuff and the lift up of the marketplace, which is slated for May 26th. That's probably the update I'll give.
Thanks, Shelley. Adam, is there an update on the infrastructure?
Yeah, so The Equinix machines. So we have a couple new ones at OSU we need to set up and then roll out for the Equinix machine. Sorry, Linux is what I'm talking about. For the Equinix machine, they need to take it down for a day to do some upgrades. So that is scheduled for June 2nd. So we need to ensure we have the OSU ones rolled out by then so that we don't have any blockage on that platform. So June 2nd, that's a couple weeks away. So we should have the OSU ones going by then. The good news is they should only need test dependencies because compile in Docker containers. That's it for those. And then the other item is the Windows 2019 machine is being set up. So we're just working through some issues with that. And then once that's ready and vetted, then we can roll it out to the other 10 boxes or however many there are. Any questions?
Sounds good. Thanks, Adam. Don't see Devin, so we'll skip over the CMake. Don't see Marius, so we'll skip over the JIT server. Looks like the next microJIT meeting is this Thursday coming up. Toby, is there an update on CRIU?
Yeah, we have some support for series-specific security providers. So these are when we're in the checkpoint mode, we've got a set of security providers such that we know that at checkpoint we're not going to persist any date that would potentially be an attack point for someone malicious intent. So in this mode, we are able to kind of restrict the capabilities at checkpoints, and then upon restore, if we know that no further checkpoints will be possible, we'll have a more open mode, one that more closely resembles a typical JVM run. With this approach, we're able to use the existing security providers in the manner that they were intended. And so it limits the potential security concerns from the checkpoint restore approach. That's
Don't see Daryl, so there's an update on the M1.
We could ask Keith. There's some DDR work that's happening for M1 that Keith was going to look at.
My hope there is that the draft PR I have open for OMR only needs a few minor tweaks.
So we should have that'll enable our DDR support soon.
Yes, that's the goal.
Sounds good.
And Keith, is there any update on the shared library rename?
I've been working on that sort of intermittently. I think I've got the AIX stuff all sorted out. And so the final platform would be ZOS. And I haven't really had a lot of time to focus on that, but I'm hoping that it's something relatively minor and then it'll just work as well.
Just a reminder that the 33 release is branching on the 20th, so we're very short on time, unless we're doing the double delivery on that. Is Babneet on the call? Yes, he is. Babneet, the method handles backport. I believe the state we left this in the last conversation was that it was going to be a discussion with the IBM stakeholders around risks and concerns for backporting to 8.
I never. The meeting generally takes place this week. It's bi-weekly now, so I haven't had the discussion yet, but I was told to collect more class memory numbers for more realistic benchmarks such as Liberty, throughput, and to collect numbers for them, I have to run them manually, and I'm in the midst of running those benchmarks manually. I'm facing a few issues with some machines, but I should have those numbers soon. And I will have the discussion this Thursday when the OpenJDK method handle meeting takes place. That's all the update for this week.
It's Babneet. Right, anything else we want to touch on today?
Did you want to circle back to that issue and now that Babneet's on the call, see if we could get an update on it?
That was in the 33 plan. So Babneet, we have been talking about the blocker we have for the 33 plan, where the last update appears to be discussion with you and GAC about OSR frames.
Yes.
Is there any further update on this?
I haven't heard. I sent it back to JIT, tagging Daryl, but I haven't heard back from them. I'm not sure if it was assigned to someone on the JIT side.
Do they know that it's been sent back to them? I would not have picked that up from reading this. Sorry.
I think it should be the last comment. At the top of the last comment, there should be a ping to Daryl. Or at the end, maybe. Yep, yeah, there's a ping to Daryl. Yep.
We could ask Henry to take a look, see if there's anything that can be done this week.
Yeah, I'll take a look.
Thank you.
Henry, what's your GitHub ID so I can tag you in it?
H Zongaro, HZON.
HZON.
You've got X instead of Z.
Probably doesn't help, eh? Thank you. Thank you. Is there anything else that we want to tackle today? All right, then. Thanks, everybody. It was a good meeting, some good discussion, and we'll pick this up again next week.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.